Well, a very good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to another episode here on the Life Signatures Radio. This is a daily show. It's a daily podcast that is focused on the subjects of purpose, productivity, and resilience, and we get to discuss those things. It's a one-man show, actually. There's some point in time that I used to interview people once a week, and just veered off of the same. But what we did now, what we're doing at the moment, we have pioneered a new podcast which is called Adam. It is centered around godly masculinity. So if that's something that you cherish, check it out on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and look for Adam. Make sure you subscribe to it and hit the bell button so that you can be able to receive every episode that is coming up every Thursday. But back to Life Signatures, it is a daily show dedicated specifically for those 3 points. This is personal development on the aspects of purpose, productivity, and resilience. Over the recent past, we've been talking about resilience and from the angle of midlife crisis. Actually, midlife crisis focuses on resilience. It focuses also on purpose. But again, it can also focus on productivity if we tweak it that way. We looked at the 7 signs that you might be having a midlife crisis going on. And now I want us to take a tangent a little bit and start talking about how we can address this midlife crisis that we might be facing in our lives. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
Midlife crisis is something that, in our context in Africa, for the most part, we don't discuss this. And it's not just midlife crisis that we don't discuss. There are very many things that we just sweep under the carpet. I don't know, maybe it's because we have very many important things to talk about. I always thought that when you live in a land of abundance, you become so entitled, and there are very many things that have names and they have priority and focus. For instance, I saw a video. I don't know if it's acted. I do believe they acted that thing out, where a kid was taking his father, 21-year-old actually, taking his father to court, suing the father for $60,000. Why? Because he was bought a Tesla. He wanted a Ferrari. You know what I'm saying? He wanted a Ferrari and all he got was a Tesla. So he was suing the dad. Man, you should see me seething. I don't know. Maybe our world. I don't know. So sometimes these things, you hear people talking about midlife crisis. In fact, by the way, probably midlife crisis will come and it will have its major focus in some years to come. I'm talking about Africa. Because right now, you know what we're focusing on? It's a real deal right now in Africa. Mental health. Mental health used to be some amorphous thing that, we never used to focus on in Africa. But right now it's real. Same with midlife crisis. It is real. It's something that we as human beings normally go through. And we've got to learn it, and we've got to find a way of handling or seeing how we can be able to behave whenever we are focusing a midlife crisis. Now, I have given you some 7 signs that those could be in the offing, or 7 signs that you could be able to use to find out if you are experiencing a midlife crisis or not. But I want us to see, how can we overcome this now that we know what we know? Is there a way, there are some things we can be able to do to overcome this so-called midlife crisis? Because overcoming a midlife crisis involves ourselves. You cannot outsource overcoming midlife crisis. You cannot take a pill. You cannot get an injection. You cannot go to hospital and they inject you with this. You cannot be hospitalized, so to speak. By the way, some extreme cases, people get hospitalized because of a combination of very many things, compiled together, things coming together and compiled, and they form you, they make you to be hospitalized. But at the core of it, if you're going to overcome midlife crisis, or if you're going to ride the wave of a midlife crisis, it's going to involve a lot of self-awareness, a lot of decisions. This self-awareness will come from the point of view of, I cannot change the past. I cannot change the past. It is what it is. But I can start afresh and have a better future, better ending. So self-awareness, positive changes, is also going to require for us to seek support. And if we're going to seek support, then the people around us need to understand the kind of support that they can be able to offer us. And the support that we're getting is not making us vegetables. No, we're not becoming crutches, or we're not using other people as crutches. We're getting the necessary support, but we are in charge of our lives. So I'm going to talk about some of these things, maybe 7 or 8 of them. And we call it a day. But today I'm just going to focus on one, which is what? I think we need to start reviewing, reflecting, reassessing, not just our priorities, but reviewing, reflecting, and reassessing the very essence of our existence, the purpose for which we are existing here. That's why clarifying your purpose is critical before you can get to the midlife crisis. But when you get to the midlife crisis, again, it is an opportunity. It's a great opportunity for me and you to come back to the drawing board and look at the things that are unnecessary, the priorities that are not necessarily important, things that are not important in our lives, and they're not giving us long-term fulfillment. They're not even strategic, so to speak. We talked about strategic living in a series back before we started talking about this. And so the first thing, if we're going to reevaluate how we can overcome our existential crisis, is to focus on why are we existing in the first place. I'm telling you, if you do not know what your purpose is, it is not that you do not know. In fact, by the way, I will tell you, those who are 40 and above, 60, the older you are, the easier it is for you to zero in on something that matters. The younger you are, the more you feel like, I have very many options in life. I can follow this and follow that and follow that. And the problem is that when you've not clarified what your purpose is, you come to your midlife crisis and you don't have purpose, and it's compounded. But now that you are here, how do you navigate? How do you ascend? How do you ride the tide of a midlife crisis? The first thing is to reassess our priorities, reassess our purpose, reassess what matters to us. Probably you don't need to strive a lot to be a millionaire. Probably you need to come to understand that being a millionaire is a byproduct of you doing something strategic and something tangible, something that matters to you and to the world, something that impacts and something that contributes. Probably you do not need to have an extra piece of land, an extra house, you reassess your priorities. I am not saying you shrink from life. I am saying that there is a place. We talked about having a minimalist life. There's a series we did about a minimalist life. You can have a minimalist but impactful life. So much so that the moment you have that clarified, the baggage It's like a sigh of relief. It's like a heavy load lifted off of your shoulders. And now you are mean. No, okay, let me not use the word mean. You are lean. You're lean. You're leading a lean life that is pointed, it is focused, it is purposeful, it is goal-oriented, it is directed. It doesn't have extremely many priorities. It has very few objectives that are absolutely critical and absolutely important. So that's the first thing that I would advise anyone who is facing a midlife crisis. There are very many coaches out there who can help you to reprioritize your life. In fact, life coaches will help you with it. I will help you with this, and I'm one of those guys who has helped quite a number of guys to discover what is it that is important, what matters to me the most. Now listen, you might take a bit of time, maybe a month or two, to do this clarity. But then that's important. After you've done that, it's done and dusted, you're gone. I mean, you're not going to look back. You're not going to have to look back and say, what is my purpose? You do it once and for all. And once you've known, you're sorted. Do this if you never did this before. But if you've done this before and you have purpose, you've already decided what your focus is going to be in life, all you'll be doing at this moment in time is to find out, am I on point? How much time am I giving to my purpose? Apart from balancing the act of putting food on the table and clothes on my back and paying bills, what have I done that is balancing the boat in terms of my purpose and my money? Is there a way I can be able to merge the two? So take time to evaluate and truly come to that place of clarity that this is what matters in my life. Take as much as 3 months if you've got to. It is important. Make it like a project. Identify areas of dissatisfaction and set realistic goals. In fact, after you've identified what your purpose in life is, make goals centered around those. Because sometimes we set goals that are very, selfish. We set goals that are very, for lack of a better word, fleshy. Christians, we call it fleshy. They're very carnal. Okay? Ferrari, millionaire, house. All those ones are important. But sometimes they don't even speak to who you are, and they don't speak to your purpose. The Bible tells us, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these other things, these things are called other things, all these other things shall be added unto you. The priority is important. We need to learn to prioritize what matters. And you'll find out that what matters is not a lot. It is God, it is purpose, it is family, and its relationships. Now, when you talk about purpose, that's where your work is. Work stroke purpose. So God, purpose, family, and relationships. Those are the important things that you and I can prioritize. I'm not saying that you should not look for adventure. I mean, you should not go for vacation. I'm not saying that you should not do all the other things that you can be able to do. But I'm talking about someone who is facing a midlife crisis. What do? You go to the drawing board, create a lean lifestyle that is purpose-oriented, that speaks to what matters to you, and lean into it. Tomorrow we're going to continue doing this one. Let me just give you a caveat here. I am not a psychologist, clinical, whatever it is they call those guys, psychiatrist. I'm not even a counselor, but I am a coach. And I can tell you from the perspective of coaching, it is important to have priorities redefined. Tomorrow we continue. Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.